Prepping America, ready for anything.
Prepping America, ready for anything. Hey, Thomas, we had a really good show last week with Jim Gale. Today, joining us is Chemo Bravehorse, who also lives off grid. And Chemo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Great to be here, man.
Thomas, you and Chemo have known each other for how long?
Oh, maybe a year, Chemo?
Yeah, it's been about a year. It's been about a year.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to play the first video because New York City, where I come from, looks like they have a ton of National Guard. The hazmat units are already set up. And what are they set up for? We don't know. In the meantime, the FBI has raided some of the executives to Mayor Eric Adams, and it confiscated the cell phones to the New York Police Department commissioner and other people. So something is going down in New York. And this is where I'll talk about, but we'll get into it. This is part of the hot news we do cover. Here it is.
Name of a restaurant in Chinese. It might not work. Is the Army turning this thing into a migrant shelter? Why are you guys here? It's a hotel. Why is the Army at this hotel?
We're here at the request of the state of New York.
The state of New York has put the Army into hotels? What the hell is that about?
I got an idea.
This is a public hotel, right?
Not anymore.
What is the Army doing in this hotel? Have you guys taken over this hotel?
Yeah, they have.
What is?
So you can't
What the fuck is the Army doing taking over civilian hotels in the middle of New York City? I can't record. So this is what I'm tell.
Yeah, they have.
What is?
So you can't
What the fuck is the Army doing taking over civilian hotels in the middle of New York City? I can't record. So this is what I'm.
So, Thomas, I have an idea. We have a cyber polygon from the World Economic Forum next Tuesday, Wednesday, right? You talk about the 10th of September through the 11th, 9/11, of course, right? Then a week later, we have the 18th of September, which is a Wednesday, and Donald Trump is supposed to be arrested that day. Same day, the US dollar is supposed to crack from my research. So if you have these two things happen, I'm just going to put the shit hits the fan's going to be turned on high. But then the following Sunday, the 22nd of September, Thomas and Chemo, we have the United Nations Week, and I think that's when the deep state with Joe Biden hands over the sovereignty of the U.S. Incorporated, the corporation, over to the United Nations. The United Nations be control, and I think this is when we get into what looks like a occupation by the UN. This is what I'm thinking. Why the hazmat units are in New York City on a different video, I don't know. But the National Guard, I could see that because stuff might hit the fan when Trump's arrested. Chemo, weigh in first, and then Thomas.
Man, you should have told Thomas to go first because I'm just now hearing this, man. I've been back on the East Coast dealing with some family matters. I had no idea about the 26th or the 18th, man. So I'm interested in hearing what Thomas got to say.
Go ahead, Thomas. Jump in.
Yeah, I watched recently a very detailed report about the lowering the interest rates. I cannot recall now all the numbers, but they were very specific. There were economic specialists on there, and they were talking that we have the largest cash bonds ever. And if the interest rates are getting lowered, people will dump those cash bonds in the market. And it was something like 6.3 trillion or something like that, which would have a severe impact.
And that's going to happen on the 18th of September, which ties into Trump. So you're going to see the Wall Street go absolutely bonkers, Federal Reserve and desperation. And they're talking about cutting anywhere from 25 to 50 basis points to try to get the housing market to go. But the side effect is the bond market's going to blow up. Go ahead, Thomas.
Right. So they're trying pretty much what they said in this show was like, they're trying to cover up how bad the U.S. economy is already doing till after the election. So this stuff is already going downhill, but I don't know who's really surprised. We turned the world off for 2 years, guys. I mean, really? You cannot just turn a light switch off and on. It's not a light bulb. It's an entire global economy. This thing is whacked out ever since. And as you know, James, I'm coming from a logistical background. the company I had once,
Yeah.
and the supply chain is not there. It's by far not there. And I'm buying now a lot of building material for a construction project off grid, and I see how the prices are going up. I mean, they're going up. It's not getting cheaper. And then I hear people like, oh, the fuel is coming down. Or this morning I read on CNN, by Thanksgiving, we are below $3. We're pumping more oil than ever. What kind of a nonsense is this? When I came to Arizona, the fuel was $1.89 a gallon. We are still at $3 and $3.50 and $3.80. So where's the fuel going down? It maybe goes down from $4.50 to $3.80, but that's not down. We are still skyrocket high. That's the reality of it, right?
Yeah, that's why we don't listen to mainstream media. Kimo, why did you move from, I guess, the East Coast out to Arizona for off-grid living?
Honestly, man, I'm not the biggest, I'm not a Christian or anything, bro. I'm not a religious person, but I do read the Bible, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a knock at anybody who is religious. It's just not my thing. The Bible's a great book and it's very informative, and it tells you when you see these signs, head for the mountains. And
Head to the
my
wilderness.
Wife, right. My wife and I, man, we had some beautiful land in Georgia. And it wasn't the mountains. I wanted to get away, bro, and be away from everything when it hit the fan. So that was it for me, man. Just getting my family out to where we didn't have to depend on anything or rely on, be self-reliant, and then be away from it all. Because if you look at the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab said it himself. He said there will be people who dissent from our plan and move to the mountains, and we will label them public enemy number one. So it's not that we escaped it. It's just we bought ourselves some time by going out there.
I completely understand. Thomas, you and your family moved out in spring of 2020, really early. Talk
Really
to us
early.
about, you realized you were in logistics, supply chains. You understood what the lockdowns meant, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw it since I communicate around the world. So I saw the signs very early and how the freight got slowed down, what happened in trucking. But I saw it already in 2018 and 2019 when the freight rates were suppressed and all the small mom and pop trucking companies went out of business because it was made. It was not that it just happened. And now we have the next strike right now coming with a massive insurance increase. People pay attention to the fuel. That's all good and well, but that's not the only thing, folks.
No. Energy is not the only thing. There's food. There's so much more to this. You wrote a letter to President Donald Trump in 2019, before COVID, before the lockdowns, saying we got a trucking crisis. Did you not? I remember reading that.
Yes, 4 pages. It was actually delivered by a friend of mine who worked for the Trump advisory team, and I get a nice letter back from the White House, but seems like nobody really paid attention. I actually predicted in a 4-page letter that unfortunately you will lose the election. Logistics is not getting, you don't pay attention to logistics, and it will get the inflation really started, because logistics is the heart and soul of America, guys. A lot of people, they see those truckers and they think, what a bunch of dumbasses driving little trucks. They make this country tick. They make this country work, and nobody appreciates what the truckers are doing, really.
Yeah, they could shut down any city in the United States within 3 days. They just don't show up. No goods, nothing. The city shelves would be empty. And there's nothing, there's nothing manufactured food-wise within 100 miles of every city. This is a fact. It's all trucked in from other parts of the United States. You have to go to Western Pennsylvania, Amish country, to get your eggs. They're not grown in Westchester County or Long Island or Northern Jersey. They're not grown there. People don't.
To a logical man, bro, that's terrifying. You know what I'm saying?
That's the reality. I mean, that's one reason why I moved out of New York City. I mean, I've got 101 reasons now, but you know, it's all like all these data points. I'm like, I got out. Thomas got out early. You got out, and I got out, and we had to get out, and we had different strategies. I have an autistic son who can't deal with altitude, so I can't have him living at 4,000 or 5,000 feet above sea level because he'll have headaches. He'll be dehydrated all the time. So I chose Florida for that reason, for him. Right? I had to, really, really move in that direction. Otherwise, I'd probably be living with you guys out there. But that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Man,
So here's another problem.
I'm back here on the East Coast right now. Like I said, dealing with some family issues, man. And wherever you are when it happens is where you'll be when it happens. There'll be no, everybody thinks that, when quote unquote, shit is the fan, everybody will be able to go to their bug out spot 2, 3, 4 hours away, 20 hours. Man, come on, bro. There'll
Yeah,
be no
if everyone evacuates at the same time, it's forget
right,
you're in a log jam.
right, exactly. So you're gonna have to get it in wherever you are. Um, God forbid there's something happens to along the lines of an EMP, because most people can't even navigate their own city without some type of map, whatever this
A
app is called.
GPS, right? On their
GPS.
phone, right? Absolutely.
So,
All right, let's play the next video. One more video on city living and not trusting your local state governments. Oh, it's called mosquitoes. Oh, and it's called spraying. This is
As teams in New York City and along the Northeast unleash an attack on mosquitoes from the air and streets, health officials in Wisconsin confirming 2 people have now died in that state from West Nile virus. This morning, nearly 290 cases reported across more than 30 states, the mosquito-transmitted illness accounting for 100 to 200 deaths each year. In Missouri, 18-year-old John Proctor VI, now on a ventilator, contracting the disease early this month. His parents say symptoms started with headaches and dizziness, then spiraled into vomiting, disorientation, and a dangerous fever.
And to see him lethargic and struggle to do simple basic functions, it's hard. The doctors describe this as a marathon to beat this virus, since there's no actual cure for it.
Many who get West Nile may not ever feel sick, but 1 out of every 150 people infected may develop serious, even fatal illness. And this morning, concern about another rare but potentially lethal mosquito-borne virus, Triple E, with 6 people sickened in at least 5 states.
And all of this, West Nile, Eastern equine encephalitis, all are meningitis based, which means what? You get bacteria in the brainstem, you get poison in the brainstem, and you end up like that kid in the hospital. And it kills young people, old people, doesn't matter. It does kill. But it's not a virus, it's a bacteria for sure. But then you got the other half of this is now the local governments are spraying the crap out of city streets. So imagine if you're walking your dog the next day or pushing your little toddler in a stroller on the city streets, and they're exposed to this stuff. There's no way they're not. Thomas?
James, did you read one of the comments from our viewers? He's in Texas. He has a ranch out there, and he talked about it. They sprayed everything. He tried to prevent it, and they killed everything. They killed butterflies and whatnot. Everything is dead out there.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the viewers posted it on Rumble. I read it. It's very comprehensive what he wrote, that how he tried to stop and how he contacted the EPA, I think it is, or whatever. And they sprayed for 1 case of that virus out there, all these areas. I mean, maybe a little bit overkill, right? Literally.
Yeah, definitely overkill for
but
sure.
there's reports of them releasing mosquitoes over concerts and stuff like that. Outdoor venues in Baltimore, Florida, and a couple other places.
Oh, yes. Outdoor concerts. Wouldn't surprise me. Football games coming up, and we're back in the football season. College now, the NFL starting up.
Right.
Very, very interesting. Yeah, I got to keep an eye on all this stuff. Yeah, let's go into more of Thomas's background here. Let's go into the off-grid bubble house. Here we go. I like this video. 1 minute, Thomas. You got to like this. 5,500 square feet. Check this out.
Wow. It's Bubble House, baby.
This is a bubble house and is built without using a single brick. First, they lay down the foundation. Then, an air pump inflates a bladder, shaping the house model like a massive bubble. Skilled workers then use a spray gun to apply concrete along the surface. The pneumoform can be deflated and reused up to 100 times, making this method eco-friendly. One such shell, covering 5,500 square feet, was completed in a single day.
Pretty interesting. We're going to build a community center between the off-gridders. What do you think, Thomas?
Great. Awesome. I didn't even know that. Saw it the first time. You surprised me here. Awesome building method. Fast. Really, really quick. I mean, awesome.
It is good, right? I mean, that's pretty amazing.
I think it's a great idea, especially for out where we are, man, because it gets windy where we are. So I think
right.
it's
And
a
once
great.
you put that shotcrete, I mean, that's what we call it up in New York. We use that in different applications. So once you put the shotcrete on there, the wind ain't going to take that anywhere, right? You got some rebar and then you got some shotcrete on it. That's going nowhere. The wind's not doing anything to that.
Right, right.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool application, that's for sure. Let's get into PowerPoint because we got some things to talk about. Today is site security, SITE, site security. Very important. Episode number 4, Prepping America. So, Kimo, since you're driving, I'm going to just mention some, we got a whole bunch of icons here. Let's start off with how important is perimeter security for your off-grid house?
It was paramount for me, man. My wife would tell you, bro. I dug foxholes and everything for mine. Perimeter security. If you can't protect it, then it's not yours. So
Yep.
I don't see the fruit in actually living off grid unless you can actually protect it, because nobody wants, society doesn't want us off grid. The powers that be don't want us off grid, so they're gonna come for it.
And the police are not anywhere nearby. Thomas, talk about perimeter security. We're gonna go through all these.
I have a highly advanced security system out there. That means cameras everywhere, even cameras, decoy cameras, in case people think they need to shoot cameras out. Good luck finding the decoys, the real ones. Sound, infrared monitoring system. So no matter where I'm at, I can actually see if somebody enters the perimeter of the ranch. And then I have a special alarm system, which really makes you dizzy. So once you get too close to the perimeters, especially at night, there's a special strobe light with a frequency. You get disoriented and enormous loud. The sound of a jet. So if you have your ears in the back of a jet, so that's a sound, pretty much sound defense system. Mine is fully secured. That was one of the things I was really concerned about, is the security on the off-grid ranch.
Sure.
Yeah. There's also, man, like if you have, like, we didn't go that route. I didn't have the Thomas. I couldn't go the Thomas route. So what we did was a more budget friendly route, man. I took a couple 100 feet of water hose and drove 3-inch nails through them.
Wow.
To make, like I said, we dug foxholes. We went and cut some trees down, and built our own watchtowers. So we have, that tactical advantage, that sort of thing. We use the trench for terrain advantage. So we did a bunch of budget friendly things, man, to kind of give us a chance to defend our property.
I love the ideas. You got to, like, depending on your budget, you could go high end Thomas or Kimo and just do other things that are budget friendly and come up with it. So satellite communications, Thomas talked about Starlink and the importance of communications. But what about backup communications, like the radio system above my head? Is that important?
Yeah, so I have Starlink, number 1. But number 2, I have GMRS, ham, even CB, the old CB citizen band radio. I have a massive antenna on the compound. I can pretty much use the radio like the GMRS system also to transfer data. I can actually send data out with GMRS. So in case, let's say, our regular cell phone system is down, I can still go GMRS, I can go satellite. So I have multiple systems. Again, redundancy is the key, right?
Redundancy is the key. So let's talk about guard animals, that nice dog on the lower left there. Kimo, guard animals.
I am a big fan of guard animals, man. Because guard animals will catch what your spotlights and your infrared and those things won't catch, man. They pick up on everything. So I'm a big fan of guard animals, man, and they give you enough time to get what you need to, be prepared for if somebody actually makes it to your property. So I'm a huge fan of guard animals, man.
You see that, James? Oh,
Yep.
up.
Hold on, Thomas. Yep. Go ahead. What's that? Lobo?
My big boy Rocco. As you know, I come from the country where they make those nice dogs.
Yep.
German Shepherd, right? So
Yep.
a herd, right? I trained them in Germany. That was one of my hobbies, and I tell you one thing: a dog is better than any security system because that dog will get you, no matter what you think and how smart you are. I had these conversations in Germany already with people who trained martial arts to, or were trainers for martial arts. And the guys just told me, once you see a German Shepherd or whatever, Rottweiler coming to you, even with a gun, run. You will have a hell of a time, stay cool and get that dog. So a dog is definitely a very important factor in security.
Plus they have amazing scent. They could smell somebody coming from a mile away.
Agreed. And here. And depending on what kind of dog, because Dobermans can see, you know what I'm saying, as far as any dog can hear. They hunt on sight. So there's depending on what you get, man. I'm a big fan of German Shepherds. As a matter of fact, we're about to start breeding them. But Dobermans are some good dogs, good guard dogs too.
Very good, Chemo. Let's talk about two more things. Protecting your natural resources, right? Like water and things like that, Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The issue is even off grid, we have certain people that are not prepared, right?
Yep.
So if crap hits the fan, those people, more unlikely, some of them will not ask you nicely to help them. So you definitely want to secure all your food and water resources, particularly water, very important factor. I will be the last person who will deny help to anybody who asks for it. But if they just come and think they take it, then we are definitely prepared for them. That's for sure.
Very good. And behind me is the icon for community engagement. So community engagement, a lot of New Yorkers, they're kind of like neighbors in the hallways of their apartment buildings. And then you got your suburbs, and some neighbors, you don't know some neighbors, right? Everyone's a little different. But out where you guys live, I think getting to know people, not everyone's social, by the way. It's just the way they are. But you still need to know who your neighbors are to a degree in case the stuff hits the fan. Chemo?
Yeah, I was definitely going to touch on that too, man. The off-grid community, and that's one of the things I really believe in. I don't believe in being at somebody's house every day, drinking and smoking or whatever. But I do believe in having an off-grid community. So when shit does hit the fan, then people can condense resources and use the strength that's in numbers. Because a lot of people are out there, husband and wife, or just a male, just a female, and they're not going to be able to defend all of their property. But if you put the off-grid community together, then you got a better chance of defending at least whatever the planned property that you guys are going to occupy on.
Thomas.
Yeah, I believe in the same thing. I mean, like everywhere, you have good and bad people, right? Even off-grid communities. I think the majority of our people are very, very good, but we have some bad apples. And it is very important that the good guys are getting together and forming, like Chemo says, a team. The safety comes in numbers. As more as we are, as safer we are.
Absolutely. So for the audience, I know we haven't put up the our guide to a site checklist, but we're going to do that on Monday finally. And I'm going to add as a bonus, I'm going to add this list of how to protect your site as part of the guide. Right. So once you do have a site and once you do have a house on it, how to protect it, that's going to be included in the guide for identifying a site to live on. Let's go here. All right, Thomas, these are your aerial photographs. Is this from Google Earth?
That's Google Earth. 2 days ago, I was pretty shocked how detailed. So Google Earth updated our entire area. I haven't zoomed in this compound. You can zoom all the way in. That's not mine. That actually shows a particular road from someone who was once on the board and thought the community money is his own. So he built a mile-long road the only real road on the ranch all the way to his driveway. But I was really shocked how detailed Google Earth now works in our ranch, and all off-road roads are named. They are registered. You can find everything now, and that's really a massive area.
Yeah, and so what you're looking at, audience, is you got some dirt roads there, very obvious, and then at the top of the T where it goes left, that is black pavement.
That's correct. In the middle of nowhere. So.
I used to be in highway construction. It's very obvious for me to find out. Let's talk about this next picture. We got a white cloud down below. We got a black cloud shadow up above. What are we looking at, Thomas?
Those are not real clouds. If you really zoom in, you see that's actually kind of painted. Like
this is a Van Gogh down here. I'm serious about it. If you go look at a Van Gogh painting of clouds, that is right behind me. That's a Van Gogh brushstroke. That's a brushstroke. That is clearly not a real cloud.
That's correct. Nor is the black one. As you know, I'm a private pilot. I can really tell you that's not a cloud. I mean, I've seen many clouds from above, and there's something going on out there which they don't want us to see or don't want us to know. So next week when I'm out there, actually we'll drive to this location, because as you see, this is a dead end road there. And it ends right under that cloud. And we know they found helium, they found CO2, they found oil out there. A lot of construction is going on in this area now. You can literally feel when you drive out there, the dynamics. Massive corporations came building truck stops, and they're working on little county roads. Why are they now working on all this stuff all at once? So there's something going on, I think, what we are not supposed to see, which is covered up here.
That's what, a compound or a staging area? What do you think?
I can tell yet. I don't know. But it's no problem. I grab my Jeep and drive out there.
And say hi.
Say hello, guys.
Speaking of energy, Texas has found the new oil, 30 million tons, going to last a century, of hydrogen. This is Echo News. This is reported on the 31st of August, right? This is last week reporting. This is a big deal, Thomas. And they found what? Hydrogen and helium where you live out in Arizona? Go ahead.
Helium, CO2, and then I read oil. There's a lot going on. I just read an article that a company from Texas will invest $2.1 billion in this area in Apache County.
Yep.
For a windcraft and solar 500 megawatt production site. So there's a lot going on out there right now.
So they want their own off-grid power generation site. Kimo, what do you think about all this?
Man, I think it's a crock of shit because they're already doing too much to our land out there, bro. The way that it's set up out there is, yeah, you own the land, but they can still graze horses, and it's all kind of crazy ranchers' rights and stuff out there, man. So,
yeah, it's a typical America, right? You own the land you live on, but the resources are owned by the government or somebody else underneath.
Right.
Yeah, if you ever watched Yellowstone, that show with Kevin Costner, it's pretty much what's going on out there. It's land wars.
Yeah.
They own the mineral rights. The natives gave us the water rights, which right now they fight in the Supreme Court to take the water rights away. So there's a lot of things going on out there.
Yeah, amazing. So for Supreme Court's in Washington, you guys live out in Arizona. You got to love how that works out. Black Swan. So yeah, the Black Swan's coming. There's no way to stop this. You shut down the world for 2 years, as Thomas says, and suddenly there's no production. And so people think somehow we're going to pull out of this and it's going to be a good year next year. No, it's not. This is nonsense. We're coming to the breaking point, Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I told you this many times. I listened to a guy in Germany. His name is Dr. Krall. So he's not a medical doctor; he's an economical doctor, and he's the guy who actually his firm set up the banking evaluation system for credits worldwide. Yeah. And he talks about this stuff now for years. That the train has left the station; it's going downhill. It's not stoppable. The banks have no control mechanisms in place to control any of this. We all believe they do, but they don't. He makes this very clear. So it's heading downhill. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, the banks and nations are trying to survive by buying gold. That's how they're doing it. and they don't care about your money. It's that simple. And we're going to get to an advertisement of now we have a company, an affiliate company called Idaho Armored Vaults. You can buy gold, silver there. We'll have links in the show notes. We'll play a video from Bob Coleman in a minute. But as we talk about, very important. If you didn't see episode 3, highly recommend going see Tom Sedai and Jim Gale talking about food for us. Very important to grow your own food. Right, Chemo? Important to grow your own food?
Man, that's the most important thing. That and water. This year was our first year bringing in a full harvest, man, of corn, onions, potatoes, tomatoes, Jerusalem artichokes. Yeah, we brought in a nice harvest this year, man. And there's nothing better than going outside and picking your own food, man, and knowing where it came from and that sort of thing. So you can't beat it, bro. I'm looking forward to next year's harvest if we get there as One America.
Very good. All right, let's go into the next video, which is our sponsor break here. Here we are.
One of the big problems we solve for clients is the reduction of counterparty risk and systemic risk of clients' assets. Holding assets within the financial system in times of uncertainty provide a higher degree of risk. We reduce that risk. I'm Bob Coleman. I own and operate Idaho Armored Vaults, which is a full-service depository located here in Idaho. Idaho Armored Vaults is extremely unique. We're the only depository in the country that's not owned by a gold dealer, financial institution, or a cash in transit company. So therefore, we don't rely on transactional business to pay our bills, which means we don't have any conflict of interest with the client. Additionally, not only do we fully insure, but we over-insure our exposure. Here at Idaho Armored Vaults, we store roughly about $700 million in assets that's fully insured by Lloyd's of London. And we've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of clients. Our client base is very diverse. We work all the way from the retail investor who's maybe has 500 ounces of silver in their IRA, for example, all the way up to high net worth individuals and family offices, as well as institutions. To secure clients' assets in precious metals, clients have a choice. They could either buy the metals through us, or if they already own the metals, they can have them delivered to us, and we can help in the logistics of that support. We go through a meticulous process of inventory management. Not only do we have tools to measure and verify the metals as they come in, but prior to that, we can help guide clients to purchase metals through us, and then that reduces the authenticity risk because of the source of where we're buying the metals. So as an investment advisor since 1992, I've seen a lot in my career. And what scares me is the inability to have assets outside the financial system. Precious metals is one of the few financial assets that can be held outside the system that can remove systemic and counterparty risk. How you actually own the metals may be more important than the reason why you own it. To get started, it's rather easy. Just give us a call on the number on the website and we'll walk you through it.
When you work with us, you're getting the highest standards in the industry, absolute satisfaction, zero losses.
Yeah, and for audience, if you want to go buy gold, silver, and protect it the right way, they can deliver to your house. They can store it for you. You need to call them first, and then use my name, James Grunvig, as your referred by, and they will take care of you setting up an account. You can't set up an account online yet until you actually call them and go through the steps. Chemo, how important is it to have assets outside the financial system that's ready to crash?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got a lot of silver. We got a little gold, man, but we have mostly silver to be able to break things down in like small denominations, that sort of thing. But yeah, man, silver and gold are crucial. Next to food and water and brass and ammo, gold is going to be it, man. Gold and silver is going to be it, because this dollar. Hell, we were in Iraq, bro. I was watching Iraqi money. You know what I'm saying? So once that dollar goes kaput, it's a wrap.
That's it. Thomas.
Yeah, I also have that. I mean, what are you having with your dollar? You have a piece of paper, right? It's an IOU. As long as everything works, they tell you how much that IOU is worth. But ultimately, the only valuable thing is real goods like gold, silver, land, commodities.
Totally. I agree with you. Chemo, we got a lot coming, don't we? We got this is like the all-star cast of evil we're fighting over the next several months, aren't we?
Yeah, bro, we're on a runaway train, bro. And we're currently just buying time before we crash. There's so many threats to America right now, man. It is insane. The last time we talked, I don't know if I can name these organizations on here or not, but
up to you.
Bro, we've got Hezbollah, Hamas, MS-13, Tamil Tigers, the FARC, you name it in this country. And everybody's focused on the Venezuelans, right? Because that's where they want your focus at. And they're trouble enough.
That's correct. That's all they've been talking about. Right. They're not talking about the rest. They're not talking about the 70,000 Chinese PLA soldiers and officers in this country. They're not talking about China.
Right. And we're doing a great job of following what they want us to follow, man. I want to know
follow the bouncing ball.
I want to know what's under that cloud, that black cloud. they have to be, think about it, man. They have to be staging somewhere, James. There's millions of them here. Millions of them.
That's correct.
They got to be staging somewhere, man.
Thomas.
We will drive out there, Chemo, when you're back. Take the Jeeps and go out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And film it from a distance if you can, and then we can put it on the show. At least release a report.
I'll take the drone. I'll take the drone with us.
Yeah, and we'll see if there's any trespassing signs or any that's their own signage and their own security fence. But clearly those clouds are painted.
Right.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, Thomas, we're going to show Thomas on a tractor, and Thomas will explain what he's doing here. Let's go to the next video.
A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that beauty. A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful.
We're making fire breaks here. It's right now it's still wet because it's still monsoon, but once all this stuff dries, I want to have fire breaks between all the high grass, the houses, the powerhouse, all these things. Is for fire prevention. That's why I'm doing it. It's just not optical, that it looks great. It creates a fire break. And unfortunately this year, to all the moisture we are having, we have an enormous amount of grass growing pretty quickly. So with the drag we build ourselves, we rip this stuff out, and then we have our fire break again.
So, Thomas, what are you dragging there? It looks like a folded over metal chain link fence along with some rubber tires on the bottom.
Right. I filled the tires with concrete for the weight, and then I put
drag it around.
Chain link fence around it. And that stuff works so good. I mean, first and foremost, you get smooth roads like there's no tomorrow. Absolutely straight. You don't need a grader for that. Secondly, the chain link fence is under the tire is pressure. There's a lot of pressure on it, and behind is roughly a 5-foot section just hanging there. So you rip all the grass, it takes it with it. And we have this year, strange wise, we never had it before. We have a ton of tumbleweed, which, by the way, is always shown in American movies, Westerns, right? It comes from Russia. I did some research where this tumbleweed came from. And it's a Russian plant, actually. And it's very invasive. And it's growing right now. And as long as it's green, it's all good and well. But when this stuff dries out, this is a fire hazard. So I ripped all this stuff out around the buildings.
Yeah, it's very good. And you know what Kimbo's point earlier, we lost him again. But what Kimbo's point was that that's budget friendly. You don't have to go out and rent a grader or anything like that. You could do it yourself. Small tractor, right? Old used rubber tires, instead of throwing them out, fill them with simple, dry concrete, whatever, 10-bag mix, whatever, a couple of them, and then the chain link fence. That's a very economical way of doing what you're doing.
I had the chain link fence left over. I mean, I was looking for some drags to buy, but honestly, what's on the market in that size for a small tractor, it's actually not very efficient. It doesn't work very well. And that thing works like great. I run over my roads out there. Everything is always smooth. It almost looks like the Autobahn when after you use that thing.
No, it looked really good. The aerial photos, the drone shots look really good. It looked a lot better than it did before. Let's play the guide before we close out the show. So we're as I said, we're going to have a guide finally in the prepping store. So preppingamerica.us, Thomas, we got a shop up now, correct?
We're working with High Speed on the shop to get the audience. As you know, I'm coming from the importing world, so we import everything directly. So we have some discounts out there of 60-70%. We're working on it right now with High Speed.
Do you dream of living off the grid? Imagine a life where you're self-sufficient, connected to nature, and free from the hustle and bustle of urban life. But be aware, before you embark on this journey, you need a plan. Introducing the Ultimate Site Acquisition Checklist for off-grid living. From assessing the land to installing renewable energy systems, from ensuring water supply to sustainable landscaping, this checklist covers it all. Whether you're starting from scratch or refining your existing plans, this comprehensive guide will help you turn your off-grid dreams into reality. Download the Site Acquisition Checklist off-grid now and take the first step toward your sustainable future.
All right, that's coming now. We're going to add these security features. Site security is very important. There's at least 10 key elements you need to be aware of. Everything we covered at the beginning of the show. Thomas, what are the next steps for your off-grid place? What are you doing next?
Yeah, I have now a crew flying in again from Germany, so we still haven't built our decks. There's so much out there. It's an ongoing construction site. We gotta fill the lake. We push a big lake now with 3.5 acres on top. Since when I was young, I was like doing a lot of windsurfing. My kid wanna go windsurfing, so let's windsurf on the ranch in the middle of the high desert, right? So we fill the lake. But it's not only for that. It's actually really for water storage and irrigation, because the well water is okay, but you really want to have it in a pond and get this water more naturalized instead of just the way it comes out of the well, pumping it into the greenhouses. So we have right now a lake which holds roughly 600,000 gallons. That's the first retention pond, which gathers water from the ranch actually in the monsoon. Then there's an overflow, and that will go now in a 3.5 acre lake. And this will be a self-sustainable ecosystem. So that's one of the things they're on the table for this year.
That's really, really good. I'm glad to hear it. So site security has been the discussion today. Financial security is a part of it, right? You can expect whether it's a cyber Polygon attack next week that shuts down your ATM card, your credit card, something, you need not only cash on hand, but you should really consider buying silver and gold. And you can do it through us, through Bob Coleman. I'll have all the information at Idaho Armored Vaults, and you will be able to open up an account and go purchase what you need. They can deliver it to your house, as I said, or they can store it for you, whatever you want to do. Thomas?
Yeah, so I think it's a good idea. Like we said many times, it's not only that you build an off-grid compound, it's financial planning. It's many, many things which we also put in multiple shorts out there. So it's all good and well that you maybe think I'm going off grid, but if you run out of money, you also not going off grid. So there's a lot of planning involved in this entire thing.
Yep. It's not simply just building a house, having food and water. You do that to survive the coming collapse, but you need more than that, right, Thomas?
Right. It's way more than that. It's really a complex project. It's almost, you can compare it almost with what you did in New York. It's almost like you plan a city or you plan a village, but you do this for yourself.
Yep. Absolutely. And you see how easy the bubble house is. And you can
Right.
suppose to reuse that 100 times. I don't think you need to reuse it 100 times. I think once you build it, that looks like a very inexpensive way. The labor on it is not that bad. I mean, you pour the foundation, it takes a week, right? Depending on the size of your house, maybe a little bit less than that. Then the bubble house itself goes up in a day, and then you shotcrete it, and you got a house in a week.
I particularly like that it's a bubble, right? Because like we have very high winds out there, up to 80, 90 miles an hour during the springtime. That's really a great way to build a house out there.
It is because there's contours, so there's no, it's not going to. You're a sailor, so it's with having these tall square sides of the house, well that becomes a sail. But if it's contoured and curved, it's just like the high winds will just roll over it. So that does look really, really a great design in my opinion.
It's awesome. Also, snow load wise, you have no issue with snow load.
No,
you have no
same thing. As long as you got drainage around the house, right? As long as you put the perforated pipe around the foundation, for when water goes into the ground, it can then seep, and then you have gravel inside a perforated pipe. You get a nice big fat one. I used to work in site management myself for a engineering firm years ago, and that's how you keep the drainage, and it drains naturally away from your house. How do you drain your property away from your structures, Thomas?
I have actually French drains, I think it's called.
Yep.
And all this goes in the first pond, which is a 600,000 gallon pond. So pretty much all the roads, everything I designed goes towards the French drain. When we have a good monsoon, believe it or not, one time before we broke through for the big lake, 600,000 gallons filled up in an hour. You could watch how this thing was just from empty to full in literally an hour. It looked like the Niagara Falls was what came through that entire system. So that's a natural rainwater capturing system without what maybe people understand as rainwater capturing is like somewhere a tote and coming from the gutters. My entire ranch or in the close perimeters around the house, that's all a rainwater capturing system, the land itself.
Very, very good. All right, we're going to close out the show. I want to thank everybody. We'll see you next week. We will bring a special guest on, secret guest. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Prepping America. Ready for anything.